This video demonstration assumes knowledge of the 5D monogram wizard. A separate video for new users to the 6D system is also available. Before we look at the new 6D version, let's recall how the 5D version looks and works. Working from the top left to the bottom right, we first put in our letters. We enter R, A, and S for Robert Sheldon Arnold. We then select the size by checking or unchecking the relevant box underneath the letters. We then choose a monogram envelope by opening the drop-down list. Note that we don't see the options until actually we choose them. We're going to choose straight to. We can, though, then scroll up and see some more options. We now proceed to the next stage by clicking Next. On this full letter options page, we continue to customize the monogram by entering the actual size of the letters and then the font type. Once this is done, again we just select Next. Now we have a small letter options page which allows us to use another font style. We're going to choose another font for this, Square Block UCM 15 to 30. So you can now see that this wizard guides you through each stage step by step. We're not actually yet finished. There's still the choice of the borders to go through. But now let's go to the new 6D ExpressMonogram wizard and see how that differs. The first thing to notice is the layout has all the controls across the top in what is called the ribbon bar. Secondly, notice we have a Finish button even on the first page. So that allows us to just change the letters in the monogram and then click Finish. So let's put in our letters. And if that's all that we want to do, we would just click Finish. This will place the monogram into the hoop area in 6D Embroidery. If we want a different envelope, we just click on the drop-down arrow in the gallery view. Now we can browse the options and take one. As you can see, the monogram is instantly updated. The envelope style gallery works together with the letter size gallery. We can see this by changing to one of the two letter options. The third letter is now greyed out and the envelope gallery is updated. So you can now see that we're achieving the same result as in 5D, but in a much easier and more direct way. So now let's go back to the three-letter monogram. Change the style back. And let's see what more we can do. Now maybe we want to add even more flowers by changing the border. On 5D we would have needed to progress through the wizard to the border section. We can still do that by clicking on the Next button until we get there, or we can go directly there by clicking on the Border tab. Before we change the border, we may just want to see what it would be like without the border. So we click the border icon. Remember that this border function traces the outline of the shape of the monogram. If you want a smooth shape, such as an ellipse, then that is classed as a frame. Frames, corners, side pieces and flourishes are put on designs in 6D embroidery, and not, as in 5D, within the monogram wizard. Now let's add a decorative border. We turn on the border. Here we have our stitch types. Now let's see what we can do with the motifs. So we click on the motif line button. Now the motif comes up and it's changed to the last used motif. We want to change that, so we go to the Options button, and now we're going to select Universal, Candle Wicking, and number 40. This is quite a large motif at 12mm high, so I'm now going to reduce it to its minimum of 8mm. Just click on OK, and there's our monogram with the new motif border. But now I don't actually think I like the middle or the full letter, so we just go to the full letter tab. We open the font gallery and we can scroll down to the monogram category, and I'm going to pick this curly uppercase font, and there we go. And now I think it's a little bit too floral with that border, so I just go directly to the border tab, and I'm going to reset it back to a satin border. Now that looks better, but possibly the border is a bit wide. So I go to my options. I'm going to change that border width from 3 down to 2. And there we have a nice monogram with a 2mm border. So there we have it, our new 6D monogram wizard, which gives a quicker and more direct way to work. Before we end, let me just mention the Options tab. Here we set our export options, such as whether or not to colour sort. The monogram file option allows us to save or open the MGM file. This is equivalent to the old MNG file, which is the project file for the monogram. And finally, at the bottom in the status bar is the design information along with the zoom slider, which, common wherever you see it in 6D, is set so that 100% is real size.